Real quick, I want to do a fair use.
For some reason, 13% of black people happen to be 100% of the problem. I want to give a shout out to this young brother, man. This young brother who is spitting knowledge.
In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%.
Spitting facts, spitting statistics about the 13% of black people that always seem to do all the negative shit in America.
So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people.
13% of black people do all the crimes. They're all on welfare, right? They do everything. We do everything. We f up our neighborhoods. All 13% of black people are going around raping everybody, robbing everybody, all the negative. The same people who built the country, made the country what it is, from fashion to music to inventions, hundreds of inventions that white folks have literally stolen. That's real talk. African American women being the most educated in America. I mean, all of these wonderful accomplishments, but this young brother here, I want to give you credit for you breaking down the stats and the honesty. And the fact that you're of Caucasian persuasion and you're young, what are you, like 12? I want to give a shout out to your parents. Give a shout out to your parents. Those are good people who are educating you the proper way. That's what I'm talking about. You see, you all want to say I'm a race baiter. That's for all these deflecting white people that don't want to hold themselves accountable. You know, I be cursing a lot. I know. There are plenty of white kids and men and women that are getting knowledgeable and are raised properly. I hope that we see more of this. This kid is such a great example of the youth that's how the youth should be, because most of the times when I see a white kid, I'm like, oh, I wonder what the parents are teaching them. Every time I see a little white baby, I stare at it and I go, what are they telling you? Are these white parents going to teach you racism? Because racism starts at 3 years old, by the way. But this kid, hey man, I'm not going to say you're invited to the barbecue. I'm tired of that barbecue shit, all right? None of that. Let's just say you're invited to humanity. Way to be, man. You would be a bad motherfucker. Shout out to Jane Elliott's, to the Tim Wises, to Jolly Ginger, Dixie White, all of those, Eric Stone, all of these guys that are allies, these men and women that really are really trying to fight the fight. And I appreciate that. See, there are good white folks out there, and I talk about white folks and I praise them. But the ones that f up, I'm going to keep continuing. All right.
Yeah, man, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I couldn't wait. I had to jump in and do this, man. I seen that, man. Sparked my spirit, you know. Hey, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8. For we can do nothing against the truth. And that's it, point blank, period. You can do nothing against, the Lord's word, nor to the Lord's anointed, right? Which would be the elect, right? But for the truth. You can do nothing against the truth, but what happens is the truth is going to flourish, right? For we are glad when we are weak. See, we're insignificant, right? Right? The Lord said he gave the truth unto babes, man. We're insignificant. We don't have no power. We don't have the media. We don't have the left hand witchcraft media, right? Going into the word medium, right? Which, you know, basically means to what? Cook up spirits, right? Right? Because it says the devil is the accuser of your brethren, right? And that's proven right there. To say a people that's only 13%, right? Which means that's a very low margin, and you commit all the crimes, and then it's a blatant lie. Here it is, a young, what perceived to be an Edomite, may not be an Edomite, might be a Jake, but if he is an Edomite, either which way, right? You could do nothing against the truth, but for the truth, right? Yeah. And so we're weak, man. We don't got the military, we don't got the army, we don't got all these different things, billions of dollars to make a campaign smear, and we don't have to do that, man. We're using the unicorn, man. And then, it's the Lord is germinating, right? We're planting the seeds, and the seeds are germinating, it's spreading, right? So it says, when we are weak and ye are strong, dealing with the Most High through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and this also we wish, even your perfection, right? We're letting wisdom have her perfect work, right? Wisdom and knowledge should be the stability. Wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy times, man. Yeah, so this is James chapter 1, verse 2. It says, my brethren, right, which are the Israelites, not everybody in the whole world, my brethren, right, count it all joy, right? Because all these things are, part of the program, right? When ye fall into temptations, right? Because what? This is all part of the Most High's program. 2/3 of the Lord's people are going to perish. So yeah, you do have 13% do commit some type of crime, right? Because everybody's not part of the elect. People are going to lose patience, right? And people will get it by, they'll try to do things by their own means. So you're going to go through diverse temptations, right? Which even, brothers, before you came into the faith, you might have picked up, a couple of ounces of crack before, you know what I'm saying? A couple of pounds of weed, and you try to do your thing, right? And that was in your ignorance, and then basically not having patience. That's in the temptation of this world, right? Not having patience. But once you come into the truth, right? Which this is not for everyone, right? This is only for the elect. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. See, now you're going to get that patience. You're going to realize, you know what? It's worth waiting on the Lord, right? You're not going to go out there and get it by your own means and commit crimes, right? So, they're talking this, there's no crime in D.C. You're a lie. Crime is going to continue to happen, right? That's just nature, because people don't have patience. They got to get it by any means, right? And then when you have the devil ruling, right? You put the you basically put everything in perspective. Being Trump, being a person who has so many felonies or accused of having felonies yourself. See, because that's what you have created this for, because this country was founded by criminals, prisoners, right? This is at least what they tell us, right? All of you were prisoners and you were released because they didn't want you in Europe. So they kicked you out of Europe and allowed you to get, and then here is your president with all these felonies, which is what you wanted to do. You created things so that you have loopholes within the law, right? But now that we have this truth, we have what? Patience, right? When there's 2/3 of our people that don't have patience, so they're getting it by any means. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect in entire, wanting nothing, right? And that's the time we're coming in. We're coming at a time that, hey, we're going to want for nothing, even in the time of famine, right? Even in a time of economic collapse, we're going to want for nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask the power, the Most High Yahweh, right? Right? And that any is talking about Israelites, right? Because right here is going to say man. And it's not talking about every man, it's talking about every Israelite man. And even then, it's not even talking about every Israelite man, because really, you have to be the elect at the end of the day, right? It's not about every Israelite man either. So, right? To give men liberally, right? And upbraideth him not, right? He's not going to beat you up, right? He ain't going to punish you because you're asking for wisdom, right? That's a good thing, right? Remember what he did to Solomon. Solomon asked for wisdom. He's, hey, man, well, since you asked for wisdom, these other things that you didn't ask for, they're going to come in into addition to all the wisdom I gave you, right? Because if you got wisdom, you can create things to make money, right? You can use your mind, your wit, and create the right circumstances to make money, to flourish, right? You don't need to just have it all, like, like, and use the Lord like he's I Dream a Genie, or you could just rub a magic lamp. You know what I mean? No, you want to use the Lord for what he's meant to be used for, right? Wisdom, right? And that's what you want to ask for, wisdom, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him, right? Every Israelite man, well, that's of the elect, right? Yeah, so this is Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 5. Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment, right? Right? Given, this faith, right? The understanding, wisdom, right? And righteousness, right? And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure, right? And that's ultimately what's our delight. It's our treasure. Just the fear of Yahweh, right? And fearing Yahweh, all these things that he said would happen are happening, right? We don't have to do nothing. We ain't got to lift up a finger besides just picking up your Bible, doing your digital epistles, going on the highways and the byways. We don't got to pick up arms, right? Because not that you have anything that'll do anything. A little tutu, you know what I mean? Little 22 can't do nothing. Your little 9, your AK, your whatever, those are nothing. Even if you had an M16 or anything like that, even if you had what's it called, government grade weapons, they have more, right? And we're made perfect in our weakness, man. So we're gonna wait. That's how we get strong, right? Stability of thy times and strength of salvation. See, that's where our strength come from, man. That's where it's going to come from. Waiting for our salvation, right? Right? The fear of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Right? You know? It's a treasure, man. You're going to get rewarded for that, right? Yeah. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 35. A good man out of the good treasure, right? See, that's that word, treasure, right? And we have fear. Fear of Yahweh is our treasure, right? Of the heart, la'ab, which is your mind, bringeth forth good things. So the fear of Yahweh, hey, bring forth good things, man. It's gonna put fear in you and have you ask for wisdom, man. Right? You're gonna ask for the wisdom, man, so that wisdom and knowledge be the stability of your times, right? You know, that we apply these words that we hear, that we read, and that we hear, right? Right? The good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things. And a evil man, right? Esau, Edom, out of the evil treasures bringeth forth evil things. And see, and that's what he was doing. That's all that is. Those things are meant to be set up to slander, you know. I mean, which goes into what that means. The devil means slanderer, right? Right? The accuser of the brethren, right? To slander the brethren with lies, right? And sometimes it be true because you got 2/3 do commit crime, but not at the level that you're saying, right? You're overindulging, right? And the opposite is true, right? Some African Hamite woman even brought that out. She's like, yeah, when they come in, the international people come in, they say, tell them don't deal with the so-called black people that and then they show them films, right? They basically brainwash them, right? Which is another way of slander. She said, yeah, they show them videos, they do all these different things and say how bad you are, and if you see more than 3 black people, go the other way and call the police, right? Which makes sense, because I remember when I was in even when we was in junior high, it was weird. They was like, yeah, if it's more than 3 you got, it's a gang. So that even the teachers would break us up if it was more than and they would treat us like it was prisonish, you know. You know. So it says, but I say unto you that every idle word that a man shall speak, they shall give an account. See? So while you're doing all these different things, giving out statistics that's not correct, you're going to give an account for it, man. Right? The Lord is going to make you pay. Therefore, in the day of what? Of judgment. And that's what we're fastly, quickly approaching upon as we speak, as we live it, as the Lord liveth, right? You are about to be judged, man. Every single one of us for it, whether you're good, whatever done in your body, whether it be good or whether it be what? Evil, right? And out of the evil treasures of your heart, you have spoke wickedly against the sons and the daughters of Zion, mostly the men, the sons, right? Yasha Allah, so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, which are the true Hebrew Israelites on this side of the Western hemisphere, right? Which is the bulk of the Israelites are here, all 12 tribes, right? Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. Well, let's let's read it in the Amplified version real quick. Lord willing, it says and the great dragon was thrown down, the old serpent, right? Going back to the Garden of Eden, that serpent, which was a man, right? And he had melanin at that time, right? Then he came back as Cain and then slew Abel, right? Then he came back as Esau, right? And Esau Edom is who you see now ruling the world on the back of the dollar, on the dollar bill, and on the back of the dollar bill, Novus Ordo Seclorum, right? So we're in that time. So it says who is called the devil. See, that's the point right there. And Satan. Devil meaning false accuser. Satan meaning adversary, your enemy, right? Natural born from the womb, right? Our father Jacob, Jacob, wrestled with Esau in the womb, right? So natural born enemy, right? He who continually continuously deceive and seduces, right? See? Deceives and seduces, inhabits the world, right? And that's how he took on the whole world, right? The Jesuits and you know, the so-called politics, and ultimately the weapon when you're not listening to the lies of a treaty, you know. He's bringing forth that weapon, right? The Quayan, right? Cain. That's you know, that's his nature, right? He was thrown down to the ground, to the earth, and his angels, right, that would be in his military, his space force, were thrown down with him, right? Yeah, so, you know, I'm going to pick up over here at the KJV. It says, and the great dragon, right, which is the Roman Empire, right, was cast out, Slakia, the old serpent, right, going back to the Garden of Eden, called the devil, right, which meaning false accuser, Satan, which is your enemy, which deceived the whole world, right, to make you think that he's Australian and he's British, he's French, he's German, he's British, whatever else, these other things, Dutch and Wales and I don't know, Russian, right, all these different things that they want you to believe. Then they take on that they're you know, Australian and Jewish and they're Native American and they're Hawaiian and they're Puerto Rican and they're Mexican. See, and these are things, and they continue to just pour on these names to say that they're these people that they're not, right? As they conquer people and settle into their habitations and take on the habitations then take on, sometimes some of the natures of those people within that habitation to pretend to be like them, That's part of that deception, right? And he was cast out into the earth, right? You're going to be like a regular person, right? Which really is going into slavery, right? All these nations are going into slavery, and you're no different. You're going to face your penalty and your punishment, like every other nation is going to face, right? There's no exception under Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? It says, where's that? Yeah, earth and his angels. And his angels were cast out with him, right? Like I said, dealing with his military, the satellites, right? Because that's how they control drones, and they control, all these different things. Satellite meaning unicorn meaning power, right? Because that unicorn gives him power, right? Because now he can control the Urim and the Thummim, right? Control people's minds, mind manipulation through video, through different things. The Lord has to pull down your whole entire power structure, right? And so I'm going to go into this real quick, just to, to prove the point real quick. Lord willing. Just want to go into devil, which is Diablo or Diablos.
Strong's G 1228. Diabolos. Diabolos.
Yeah, Diablos. Prone to what? Slander. See? Slander. And most slander is what? Lies. That's what slander is. Slander is a lie. Right? And sometimes I guess you can there could be some truth to slander, but more than likely slander is a lie, right? And false accuser, see? That's what devil means. False accuser, right? At the end of the day. And that's pretty much it. Let me see. And then I'll just go back to where's that? No, we don't do that. Okay. And then it says Satan. Satos.
Strong's G 4567.
Satos.
Satanas.
Yes, Satanas.
Thayer's lexicon. Satan.
Yes, Shaitan, right? Going back to the Hebrew, basically, that's what he should have said. Yeah, the Hebrew, Shaitan. Yeah, adversary, basically. Adversary meaning, go back to the word adversary, it means enemy. So this guy is our natural enemy, right? And he's a false accuser, right? And what do you use that? Your mouth, right? And you're going to be judged by every idle word with that false accusing. Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 129, verse 2, KJV first, and it says, many a time have they afflicted me from my youth, right? Going back into the Garden of Eden, right? In the time that, what they call the serpent, which really was a man, and, the serpent just meaning he was cunning. He had a serpent-like, personality about him, right? The words were good, but it was poison, right? And it basically deceived Eve Then, of course, once Eve was basically, she was in her fallen state, learned how to be cunning and crafty, right? That's why the scripture says that her mind is full of snares and traps, and she learned that from the serpent, right? Right, which is currently Esau Edom, right? Because he came back as Cain and slew Abel, and that same spirit is in the self-proclaimed so-called white man this very day, right? And which caused Eve to put aside her man, not trusting her counterpart, right? And to trust in the system, you know, Section 8 welfare, DEI, trusting the government jobs, and as you can see, all that has backfired and failed her, right? You know, all the way from the youth, you know, the time that Esau, which became Edom, wrestled in the womb of our mother Rebecca with us, right? Showing that there are natural born enemies, right? And Eve, being Eve from the beginning, trusted in that, right? You know, and that's from our youth, even to this very day. They have not prevailed against me. See, and that's because of the Most High. The Most High has to preserve His word, His promise that He made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore, He has to preserve His elect. He got to preserve the first fruits, right? And it says many times in the Amplified version, have they persecuted me from my youth, yet they have not prevailed against me, right? Let's go on to KJV, right? And this is back to the KJV, verse 3, Psalms 29 and 3, Salakia. The plowers plowed upon my back, right? Which that's what the Lord said you do. When you plow, you're gonna plow what? Iniquity. You're gonna plow, or you're gonna reap the same, right? They put us in slavery. They put the everything upon our back, right? Right? Falsely accuse us, do all sorts of things, had us build up their kingdom, right? Free labor, all these different things. The inventions and things that we created never paid us. Medicines, you know, from Henrietta Lacks, every medicine comes from this Judite woman, whether she be Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, but she's definitely an Israelite, and they use her DNA to make the medicine, and they will not pay her. They will not pay her children, her grandchildren, or anything. You're talking trillions upon trillions of dollars that they can never pay us back. So therefore, hey, the only way is to put you into slavery. So it's gonna have to be a payback to you, right? But this is just showing how they have plowed it. They made long furrows, right? Slakia says that the enemy, right, self-proclaimed so-called white man, like plowers, plowed upon my back. They make their furrows of suffering, right? See, that's what they do from the beginning, from the very beginning. And now that they have us in subjection, what do? They make us for a long what? Suffering, long in Israel, right? So let's go ahead and look up that word, furrows. If I'm saying it right, Salakia. me go back.
Strong's H 4618. Nah. Second entry.
Menani. Okay, but it basically plowing ground. It says place for task, right? Task, slavery. Put us in slavery, right? Right? Let's see if I can find something. The roots. Let's see what it says. Yeah, to afflict, oppression, humble, right? Be afflicted, be bowed down. Oh wow, yeah, see, yeah, to be put down, be low, to be depressed, be downcast, right? That's what they did to us, right? Right? To humble oneself, bow down. Right? Shit. Right? Be humiliated. Yeah, that's what they did to us. Right? Afflicted. Right? So you get the picture. Basically, they put us in slavery. They put us through all sorts of things. When you look at the things of Pharaoh, right? Yeah. So basically, what these people are false accusers, and these, the devil, when he did, he oppressed us. What put us into slavery, and basically, when he did that, he put us in these pharaohs, right? And that's what a pharaohs is, right? A pharaohs, right? Which crazy. It almost sound like you're saying pharaoh, but it's pharaohs, right? And see, this is like that, basically into ditches, right? Slavery. Exactly what we went through, right? And then, like I said, the scriptures talk about how you're gonna reap what you sowed, right? You plowed it upon our backs, right? You built up America on our backs. Right? Right? You falsely accuse us. You do all sorts of heinous things to oppress us, to debase us, depress us, on all levels, man. Right? Which the scripture says, matter of fact, let's get it, because it talks about how when you do these things, you shall fall into a ditch yourself, right? Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 7, verse 13. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death, right? He ordaineth the arrows unto the persecutor, which is talking about the ICBM missiles, man. right? Those missiles are really the armies of the Lord, right? That's Joel 2. Might as well just start at the first verse, Joel chapter 2 on down, speaking of the missiles, but speaks of it as men that's array for the battle, and none shall fall out of rank, which means even though you have a defense system, you may knock one down or this down, but it's not going to stop the onslaught of the missiles. As you can see with your Iron Dome, it hasn't helped. Right now, this guy wants to put some type of Golden Dome, which is not going to help. Which the Lord may speed this time up before you can even get a Golden Dome up. Right? You know, and against the persecutor, which is Esau, Edom, right? Because the Lord said that He had made the smith to blow up the coal, an instrument, right? To make it the instruments of death, so to speak, right? Wait, let me get that real quick. Yeah, well, it did say instrument. Okay, so Psalms 54:16. Behold, feast your eyes, look, pay attention. I have created the smith, right? You self-proclaimed so-called white people. You think you're very smart. You have your smart scientists teaming. Your scientists create the atom bombs, and then you of course, because that's who you are. You're Cain, which proving you're Cain. You have to go a little bit further when it comes to weapons, right? I mean, when you blow up something and someone's shadow is on the ground, that should have been enough. But no, you want to make intercontinental ballistic missiles, which burns way hotter than those atomic bombs, which goes into what the Lord said He's going to do. Going to melt the earth with fervent heat. But the Lord said when He created it, He said, I created the smith to blow off the coals, right? The German scientists and, the Project Paperclip and what is it? The Manhattan Project, right? It says to blow off the coal and the fire, and that bringeth forth Salakia an instrument for his work, right? For the Most High's work. And I have created the waster, which is Esau, which that's his name, Edom. Shashua, right? Wasted away is he, right? The waster to destroy, right? Shashua to destroy, which you're also known as the son of what? Of perdition, destruction. So yeah, that was it, right? So that's a precept for that, right? So he have also prepared for him the instrument of death, right? The smith that blow off the coal, right? Instrument of death, right? Which is the ICBM missiles. He ordaineth his arrows, which they're also known as arrows, against the persecutor, which is Esau. Persecute the elect, ultimately, but all of Israel, ultimately. But the most important is the first fruits. It says, behold, he travaileth with iniquity, right? Right, which I believe that means goes into traveling, right? Because when you go back into Cain, it said that he was a vagabond, a traveler, right? Travails, it goes, you travail, you travel with iniquity. You do different things. You this is how you go around the world to win, right? This is how you travail. you move around. This is how you accumulate wealth, so to speak. And he have conceived mischief. Yeah. Conceived mischief, blah, and brought forth falsehood, right? Lies in the earth, right? And that's basically, you go back to Revelations, was it 20? Said the Lord shut him up for 1,000 years so he could not deceive the world. But then he said that he would be out again to deceive the world, but a little season. See, and now your little season is about over, which those missiles, those arrows, is that departing gift, right? So to speak, which you created. And he made a pit and dug it, right? So, you basically you brought this upon yourself, so to speak, like that, you dug a ditch, the furrows, right? You put us in slavery. And the Lord said, he who have led into captivity shall go into captivity, right? So you're going to go into captivity. But first, you know what I'm saying? The ICBM missiles have to hit. And when all these things come and the first fruits of slavery be the elite, right? You're gonna go into the pit. And he made a pit and dug it and is fallen into the ditch which he made. See, and that was your whole thing, right? To enslave us, and now you're gonna be the one enslaved and at the bottom. Yeah, so this is Proverbs chapter 26, verse 27. Say, whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, right? Which that's what you've done. You put us in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservation. All you did was oppress us. You put us in the furrows, right? Into those ditches. Put us in the field. But that's also symbolically, right? You put us in the ditch. Symbolically, we've been in the ditch of the way that you oppress us, right? But you're going to go into the ditch. You're going to be oppressed. But not only oppressed, you're going to also be in chattel slavery, right? So it says, shall fall therein. Yeah, whosoever diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. See, right? You wanted to make us be slaves and do this and that. Hey, that hardcore chattel slavery is going to come upon you, right? And that's that. And basically say the things that you had to do to go about the earth to accomplish that dealt with what? Lies. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, right? You hate us. You can't like us being the false accuser, being the devil, right? Because that's ultimately what devil mean. You falsely accuse us. You do things to set us up so that we die. Wait, look, he got a gun. But, I don't know. I thought I saw a gun. But by then, it was just a wallet. It was just a toy. It was just, or it was nothing at all. Or cell phone. Remember the one, the dude had the cell phone joint? It's good. It was a cell phone, right? These are the things you have done, and it's all good though. Because you dug a ditch and you're gonna fall into the same. You made us do this hard labor, because that's basically what that means. Rolling a rock, it's like hard labor. It's heavy. Rocks are heavy, right? To roll a rock, man, it ain't light work. But it says, a lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh what? Ruin, right? And that's what you've been doing. You've been using your mouth, falsely accusing us to ruin us, using your media, your television, your music, all the things that you own to basically to persecute us, to put us down, downtrodden us, to oppress us, to depress us, cast us down, right? All those things that we've seen with pharaohs, right? Which also goes into slavery, right? You literally, legitimately had us in pharaohs. But after you had us that in the mind, the mental, right? Miseducations, all these different things, Hey, you're gonna get it, man. But it was your mouth that's gonna get you in something that your ass can't get you out. You can't cash that check, right? This is Psalms 64 and 7. But power, the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, shall shoot at them, right? Which is Esau, Edom, and these other nations, with an arrow. Suddenly they shall be wounded, right? And that's what, hey man, you're gonna get it, man. You're gonna get wounded, man. And this time you're not gonna be able to heal, right? You're not gonna heal from this one. So they shall make their tongue to fall upon themselves, right? And that's basically what this little young, what perceived to be an Edomite, he's clearly displaying your tongue falling upon yourself, because it's not, the data does not add up, right? It says all that see them shall flee away, right? Which that's happening right now, right? You got people that's from India, thought that America was the place where you're going to be able to fulfill your dreams, but they realize it's not. They realize the dollar basically has no value, and people are going back to their own people, right? Which that's prophecy. Prophecy is being fulfilled on a day-to-day basis, right? Especially with the orange, what did the lady, she called them, the orange tangerine, tangerine. Orangutan, orangutan, the orange orangutan. That shit is hilarious. Let's watch this thing. The lady calls gangster grandma. The gangster grandma call him the orange orangutan. She is funny. But yeah, with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preach it in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, your Akhwathiim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, Abba Babal and Kwam Yasharallah.